trust and loyalty. Because we're not just talking about the occasional mislabeled medicine.
Eggs are now being recalled in Canada due to salmonella contamination.
If you guys want to save money on groceries, you should buy some expired food.
CBC's solution to liberal food price inflation, which gets worse and worse every single day.
The low-cost chain sells discounted items, sometimes past their best before date.
He says he was forced to make old food look fresh. That's why he secretly recorded his supervisor admitting tampering with best before dates.
If you live in Ontario, be careful with Loblaw's fresh foods. They have changed the best before the sticker to the new expiry date.
Put it onto a new one and it will print out a new day's date. Like this was new, but this been sitting on the shelf for weeks.
Welcome to Canadian Rant, where we speak the truth no one else will. Today's topic is one of the most shocking realities in this country right now. Food never expires in Canada. And no, that's not a joke, that's not a meme, that's not exaggeration. This is the new Canada, where families are struggling so much with the cost of groceries that even expired food is being marketed as a solution. Just think about that for a second. While millions of Canadians skip meals, while food banks break records every single month, CBC News, our state broadcaster, funded by our own tax dollars, is promoting grocery stores selling expired food as a way to save money. Instead of holding the government accountable for inflation, for price gouging, for corporate greed, for weak regulations, they're normalizing the idea that Canadians should accept expired, unsafe, lower quality food just to survive. How did one of the richest countries on earth turn into a place where people are grateful to buy food nobody else wants? Make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video so more Canadians can wake up to what's really happening.
Tons of imported groceries are being mislabeled as Canadian. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency found dozens of cases in which major grocers were mislabeling imported items as Canadian-made after they found an increase in complaints. The CFIA didn't disclose which Canadian grocers were involved, but said the implicated companies took corrective actions to address the cause of the error.
If you live in Ontario, be careful with Loblaw's fresh foods. They have changed the best before the sticker to the new expiry date. I have posted the receipt, and it was the regular price.
Clearly, the sticker has been re-stick and showing something else. Yeah. January 16 blah blahs. Changed the January 16 to February 9. And I got it 2 days ago. Not even 2 days ago. Less than 48 hours. Less than 24 hours actually. Should we have that? Came off. Clearly shows January 16.
This is what happens when you get food from a grocery store, right? You got strawberries. See that? So what we do here at the store is we take the moldy strawberries out, throw them away, and then the rest, sometimes we put it on the floor, or we put it in this, and this becomes this. Cut up, sold for way more money. Same with the blueberries. We go through it, take it out, throw it away, put it back on the floor for y'all to eat. We got something like this. We got white turnips, packaged, right? You see? January 6th, alright? They're bad because today's January 7th. So what we do now, we tear this open. We'll tear this open, put it onto a new one, and it will print out a new day's date. Like this was new, but this been sitting on the shelf for weeks.
There are going to be new food labels in store shelves near you. This is very important for your children and health nutrition needs. Here's what you need to know. So Health Canada has finally approved new labels that will appear on the front of the package, as well as a nutritional label that's behind the package. So typically you'll see in the back of the package nutritional label that has calories, carbohydrates, protein, fats, sometimes micronutrients as well. And it's supposed to give every parent or consumer a general idea of the nutritional components of the meal or the product that you're buying. While the nutritional labeling is clear, it can be sometimes really hard to understand and contextualize. Every child is growing differently. They may have different needs. As they get a little bit older, their daily requirements change as well. So it's an ever-evolving process. But we do know that processed foods and obesity are on the rise. And therefore, we need to scrutinize nutritional labels a lot more, especially in children. So the hope for these labels that are in front of the package is to kind of give a parent or a consumer just a very quick sort of way to know if it's high in fat, high in sugars, and that way you can make meaningful and important decisions on whether or not you should buy the product or not. Now, obviously, this isn't a perfect system by no means whatsoever, but it is a start. Many times when we're shopping for food, we're always grab and go and don't necessarily take a look at the nutritional components of a product, especially if it's things that we really, really like. So while you're waiting in line to cash out, you can take a look at these labels that are in the front of the product and maybe make a second decision on whether or not you actually want to buy it or not. And sometimes even think about making another purchase or an alternative purchase to find products that are less in saturated fat or less high in sugars or less sodium. Childhood nutrition is very key to their growth. And as food cost goes really high and accessing fresh food and fruits and vegetables, as well as leaner meats become much more expensive and inaccessible these days. So every day we have to make a conscious decision on whether or not we want to eat healthy as best as possible. And that can be really, really hard. So if labels like these help parents and consumers make better and healthier decisions, it's a really good start. And all companies have to abide by this by January of 2026. So things are coming very, very soon. So have you tried a product or eaten something that you thought was really healthy for you and it actually wasn't? Comment down below. And as always, talk to your family doctor, talk to your pediatrician, or if you have access to a dietitian, ask them those questions as well to figure out what are things that you can put in their lunch bag and for dinner that are healthy, sustainable, and affordable.
Are you a Canadian who's struggling to afford expensive groceries? Well, no need to worry, because the CBC is now promoting expired food as an alternative to save money.
Kind of grocery store in Quebec is promising big savings at a time when food prices keep rising. The low-cost chain sells discounted items, sometimes past their best before date. As the CBC's Gabriel Ginty found out, shoppers say the deals are hard to beat.
Why prices are so cheap is because they sell items that are near or past their best before date.
Best before is almost more of a recommendation about marketing, whereas expiry for something like a meat product is, about the safety of consuming that food.
Experts say the stigma around low-cost stores like this one seems to be shifting.
Years ago, there was a bit of a negative stigma in being a bargain hunter, but nowadays, lots of people shop at these retail locations.
Now, the segment was met with considerable backlash for normalizing the problem, and people had a lot to say about it, like this one ex-user who stated, CBC is now promoting expired foods as an alternative to combat the successful liberal economic inflationary strategy, because why fix the problem, just normalize poverty. Another user stated, people in Quebec are now turning to discount grocery stores selling food that's past its best before date and business is booming. When Canadians start normalizing expired food just to survive inflation, it's no longer about budgeting smarter. A staggering 1 in 4 Canadian households now struggle with food insecurity. The problem is becoming more pervasive, with 1/4 of households now struggling to afford food. This includes going entire days without food or worrying about running out of supplies at home. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on the CBC promoting expired food, so leave a comment and let us know. And if you'd like to read the full article, which goes way more in depth about this issue, you can visit junonews.com or click the link in our bio. Make sure to like, follow, and share this video to help support fearless, independent journalism.
He says he was forced to make old food look fresh. That's why he secretly recorded his supervisor admitting tampering with best before dates is industry standard.
Every store does the same thing. All the other stores do the same.
At his home, Safari demonstrates what he says is done at work. He takes cheesecakes weeks past their best before dates, adds new toppings, and sells as fresh.
I decorate it, and I'm selling expired stuff for...
In a national online call-out, Marketplace hears from grocery workers at smaller stores and big chains, sharing stories of food tampering. He used to work in a Toronto area supermarket. He shows us how he was told to give old meat new life.
If it's like this, we would dabble in a little bit of blood, throw it into the meat mincer with some redder meats, and then all together it would make it look red. And then we put it back up on the shelf.
At the University of Guelph, a microbiologist simulated what grocery insiders told us they do. He discovered toxins and bacteria linked to serious illness.
Eggs are now being recalled in Canada due to salmonella contamination. Brands you're going to want to look out for are Compliments, Foremost, Golden Valley Eggs, No Name, and Western Family Eggs. Expiration dates are February 16, 22nd, and March 1st. Health agency is warning that the food might not look or smell spoiled, but it can still make you sick. You're going to want to throw them away or return them to the store.
Million. CBC was trying to comfort us just yesterday with a news story saying, hey, good news, you can get more affordable food if you go to this special shopping mart where they sell you food that's past the best before date. So now you can buy rotten food and and you'll be able to afford it. So that is the CBC's solution to liberal food price inflation, which gets worse and worse every single day. Now 20% of Canadians are skipping bills because they have to put the money to higher grocery costs. This is the unnecessary result of liberal policies. And before we go blaming some exterior factor, let's be clear. Food prices in Canada are rising 50% faster than in the United States. We are the only country, according to the food professor, that has had 4 consecutive quarters of food prices rising faster than the Bank of Canada's target. This after Mark Carney promised that he would be judged by the prices at the grocery store. Well, so much for that promise. He's broken every single promise he made. He promised the fastest growing economy in the G7. He's delivered the fastest shrinking economy. He promised that he would negotiate a win and a deal with Trump by July 21st. Still no win, still no deal, still no elbows, still no jobs.
So, according to a report by the CBC and also the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, there are a number of Canadian retailers that are labeling foods as made in Canada when in fact they came from the United States. There seems to be a growing concern in the Federation, and it would appear that the biggest culprits of this is Sobeys, Metro, and Loblaws that are labeling American products made in Canada. Of course, this is something which has been picked up and is being investigated, and I'm sure things will change. Folks, my name is Nick. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. And again, the source of this is the CBC and the Canadian Food Inspection Agency.
Breaking news, CBC, the liberal propaganda is telling you guys, if you guys want to save money on groceries, you should buy some expired food. Now, don't get me wrong, the due date for a lot of products is a suggestion, and it can go beyond the due date for a couple of days, a week tops. But there are some products like meats, chickens, pork that cannot go past the due date. Guys, be very careful for the liberal propaganda, what they're telling you. If you guys haven't noticed, last week was budget week, this week is constituency week, and the only thing they can talk about, instead of talking about the budget, the ostriches that were killed, the only thing they can talk about is Pierre Poilievre and his MP that left him, which there's only one traitor, which is Chris D'Entremont, who crossed floor on the day of the budget, which is obvious why. And there's the other MP, I can't remember his name at the moment, who is retiring in the spring, so he's still going to vote against the budget. And to be honest, this budget has been universally disliked. So be careful, guys. We need to sacrifice by changing government, not by sacrificing our way of life. Take care.
Love a store that proudly celebrates Canadian shopping, and these Maple Leaf stickers are an excellent starting point with one caveat. Okay, I refuse to make perfect the enemy of good in this effort to buy Canadian, but I'm noticing many stores are labeling Canadian products with very low standards. In some cases, that's totally fine. Oikos, for example, not Canadian owned, but made with Canadian dairy, which meets the bar for most of us. Compliments is Canadian owned, but this says prepared for, which usually means the last step in manufacturing happened here with imported ingredients. Okay, but Oasis is proudly Canadian, so they should get a sticker. And actually, if you're looking for an orange juice not made with Florida oranges, they import from Brazil. Another Compliments product, which I don't believe is made in Canada. And this one confused me because it's American owned and not made in Canada, but it is baked here. Not sure what that means. I think defining your guiding principle is important right now. My goal, for example, is to support Canadian jobs. Canadian ownership is certainly a nice to have, but not essential. So let me know, are you still double checking your products, even when they're labeled as Canadian?
The Buy Canada movement has prompted some companies and stores to label their products with Canadian flags, but some products may not be as Canadian as they appear.
The maple leaf is a precious thing. It's a brand, and you don't want to abuse it, or you don't want to allow companies, especially large companies, to abuse that.
Canadians have been rallying around local-made products to minimize the effects of U.S. tariffs. And to make finding those products easier, maple leaves have been popping up on packages. But these labels may not always indicate it's a local Canadian product. Premier Ford was upset that Campbell's Soup is using these types of labels after moving their manufacturing facility out of the province back to the U.S.
Companies are hurting, especially the ones that rely on our trade deal going back and forth across the border.
A Product of Canada label claim means the product's ingredients are predominantly Canadian, but some products have a Designed in Canada label.
There are no regulations. Is the product created or designed in Canada, the can, or what exactly does that mean?
I mean, if I'm looking just on face value, yes, because I see the maple, so I'm just gonna. But you're right, because I've been thinking about this too, because like if Kraft has a factory here and they produce it here, Canadian?
Ford says more is needed to protect Canadian products.
If I have to put a Canadian flag and every other flag on every single product and legislate it until the consumer can see that you aren't pulling the wool over their eyes.
But not all shoppers are looking for where it was made. Cost of living and raising grocery prices are a bigger factor when choosing products.
For us, it is more important that like nutritional value is more important for us.
And getting a good deal and making your dollar stretch farther?
Yeah, of course. I would love to buy Canadian products also because they may be more fresh. They are made locally. They are made by the local people, you know.
Campbell's Soup stated that they are phasing out the Designed in Canada image from their labels. If you really want to know where your product is made, remember to look beyond the Canadian flag because marketing can be misleading. In Toronto, Beverly Andrews, City News.
Canada Dry Ginger Ale. So the can says made from real ginger.
That made from real ginger claim led to class action lawsuits here in Canada and the US. So we're hitting the road to do a little cross-border shopping in Niagara Falls, New York. On the hunt for Canada Dry sold in American stores. The cans here look different.
It does not say made from real ginger.
That's because of a label litigation settlement south of the border.
Thanks to that class action lawsuit, Canada Dry took that made from real ginger claim off of its American cans. But just across the border in Canada, our cans still have that made from real ginger claim. And another difference. On the American can, you'll notice its ingredient list is explicitly clear. It states there's less than 2% ginger extract inside. But on our Canadian cans, there's no mention of how much real ginger is inside, only natural flavor.
What if I told you, Canada, that the milk in your fridge may not come from a cow ever again? And no, this isn't sci-fi. This is actually happening in Canada right now. So Health Canada just quietly approved milk that doesn't come from a farm. It comes from a lab. And nobody's talking about what this really means. So let's go back last month. In November 2025, Canada gave a company called remilk the green light to sell animal-free dairy protein. But this isn't almond milk or oat milk. What they do is they take the DNA that tells a cow how to make milk, copy it, and insert it into microbes like yeast. And then from there, they can make milk, cheese, yogurt, basically everything. But here's the part that no one wants to say out loud. If this takes off, it could wipe out real dairy farms across BC and Canada. Oh, and one more thing. This lab milk looks real, tastes real, and has the same amount of protein as normal dairy. So most people won't even know when they're drinking it because Health Canada already said it's safe. So Canada has a choice. Do we save this dairy industry that we have and is thriving, or replace cows with computers and call it progress? Canada, let me know in the comments below, is this something you even care about? Or if we get rid of the dairy industry, you just could care less. Let me know what your thoughts and opinions are in the comments below.
CBC was trying to comfort us just yesterday with a news story saying, hey, good news, you can get more affordable food if you go to this special shopping mart where they sell you food that's past the best before date. So now you can buy rotten food and and you'll be able to afford it.
Oh, Skippy. As someone who has volunteered at a food bank, I can tell you that there's a lot of difference between an expiry date and a best before date. And best before dates, depending on whether you're talking about cans or dried goods, etc., vary quite a bit in how long the food is good afterwards. So quickly, expiration dates are actually pretty rare. The foods that expire are things like baby formula, protein powders, meal replacements and supplements, things like that have expiry dates. And expiry dates are hard and fast. On that expiry date, you're not supposed to use it after. Now, best before dates is something that you're going to see a lot more often in food. And a best before date is more about quality and less about whether or not it's still edible and still good to eat. So canned foods can endure indefinitely, depending on some, or at least several years past the date on the label. According to Brian Guak Lee, PhD food scientist and author, generally high acidic foods, like canned tomatoes, for example, will maintain their quality for about 18 months after the best before or use by or sell by date, depending on how it's labeled. Low acid items like meat and beans and vegetables can stay in their peak for up to 2 to 5 years past that best before date that you're going to see on the label. You want to get rid of any canned goods. Dents in cans or dings can definitely affect the food. If there's any leaking, any bulging, rusting, those are things that you're going to want to get rid of right away. And especially anything, if you open a can and it smells bad, it's bad. It's that simple. So just something to keep in mind. I've had a can of cat food just the other day that was well within its best before date, and it was terrible, and I had to throw it out. So sometimes things happen. Also, let's talk about dried goods next. Okay, so things like dry pasta, 2 to 3 years after the best before date. Rice, 1 to 2 years past the best before date. Spices, 2 to 4 years past the best before date. They may not have the same level of freshness, and that goes for everything, but it doesn't go bad the second the best before date passes. Sugars, brown and white. Brown sugar can last about 18 months. White sugar, 2+ years. White flour, a year. Oatmeal, a year. Canned beans, 3 years. Canned fish, tuna or salmon, 3 years. Soup, 3 years. So, as you can see, all of these foods are still good after that best before date has passed. And for a lot of people who are using food banks or maybe discount shopping, this is something to keep in mind because these foods are still good and do have a long shelf life, long past the best before date that you see. And yeah, as always, like, follow, and share, and have a great day.
I hadn't planned to do any videos this week because I'm sick, but this really pisses me off. The CBC reported today that many grocery stores in this country are telling shoppers that products on their shelves are Canadian when in fact they're American. And let's name names. The CBC says Sobeys, Loblaws, and Metro are running slick ads complete with maple leafs implying it's our moral duty to buy Canadian, like we're all in this together, except apparently we're not. At the Sobeys in Kitchener, the CBC says a sign said the broccoli is a product of Canada until you see the sticker. It's actually American. The CBC actually visited grocery stores operated by Sobeys, Loblaws, and Metro in downtown Toronto this month, and at each store they said they visited, they found produce labeled product of Canada or Mexico, but the product's packaging or sticker said it was a product of the USA. And it's not just the produce. At Sobeys alone, the CBC found ice cream cones, salad dressing, graham crackers, almonds imported from outside Canada, but displayed with a red maple leaf symbol. The report says Sobeys' own website says that symbol is meant to identify products that are made in Canada. By the way, almonds can't even grow in Canada. You don't need a PhD in agriculture to know that. You need a thermometer. At what point do these stop being typos? Start being something more troubling. First couple of weeks of all this, I can accept a few bugs in labeling, but it's been months now. Get your shit together. The grocery store chains the CBC contacted were like, oh, sorry, mistakes happen. Inventory changes fast. You know what else can change fast? Trust and loyalty. Because we're not just talking about the occasional mislabeled menace. We're talking about a moment. Right now. When Canadians are trying to vote with our wallets to support our farmers, our workers, our supply chains, our locally owned businesses, and these massive grocery conglomerates worth billions can't be bothered to fix a problem that we have all noticed for months? Enough. If you see one of these fake Canadian products in the store, tell a manager and then file a complaint with the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. Here's the address. It only takes a couple of minutes, and it actually does something. The agency says for all of the violations it found from reports, it contacted the grocer, and they fixed it. Every one of them. And then, here's a radical idea. Start buying from people. Farmers markets, co-ops, local delivery services, the people who don't need a sticker to prove that they're Canadian, the people who grow it here, make it here, live here. Maple leaf isn't a marketing tool. It's a symbol of who we are. And if these companies want to use it, they better start acting like they deserve it.
Some grocery chains are being called out for mislabeling some products as Canadian. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency says there's been an increase in complaints from consumers about mislabeled food items over the last 2 months. And shoppers have been posting their frustrations on social media about U.S. food items posing as Canadian. For a closer look this morning, I'm joined by Doug Stevens, a retail expert. He joins me from Ancaster, Ontario. Doug, good morning. Nice to see you. So this can't be intentional, Canada. I mean, why are we seeing this happen, these mislabeled items on the shelves?
It's a great question. And I think that primarily the reason we're seeing this is because Canadians are now scrutinizing labels in a way that perhaps many of us have never done before, and really now looking for the point of origin of these products. So I suspect that we've been seeing grocers in a very, very short period of time, if we give them the benefit of the doubt here, trying to organize their stores in such a way that it makes navigation easier for consumers. The retailers that have been questioned on this, to this point anyway, have said, look, this is human error, and there are bound to be some of those, but we are doing our best. With that said, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency is reviewing these complaints, and we'll see what they turn up.
If the CFIA finds a store has been mislabeling products, what are the consequences?
Well, the consequences can be severe. There are severe penalties that can reach into either the hundreds of thousands or potentially even into the millions of dollars, depending, I suppose, on the number of infractions and the degree to which those infractions were either purposeful or with some sort of malintent. Here's an easy way for consumers to navigate this. There's an app that you can go online and find. It's called ScanNuck, as in scan and canuck.ca. Go there and you can scan the items that you're seeing in the grocery store, and it'll tell you what the point of origin is.
Oh, so it scans the barcode or the actual item itself?
It scans the barcode, and it'll tell you from the information contained in the barcode where that item was actually produced or what the point of origin is.
What you just heard should disturb every single Canadian. The fact that expired food stores are being promoted as a smart economic choice tells you everything about the state of this country. Not long ago, expired food was something Canadians avoided, something you'd only see in clearance bins, not as a front-page news feature. But today, the government fails to control inflation. Corporations raise prices without consequences. Wages stay frozen while the cost of living explodes. And instead of demanding reform, our national broadcaster encourages people to settle for rotting food. This isn't innovation. This isn't budget-friendly. This is survival mode. And it exposes the broken system we're trapped in. People are already dealing with shrinkflation, food fraud, pesticides, contaminated goods, and now expired food being framed as normal. It's unacceptable. Canadians deserve dignity. Canadians deserve food they can trust. Canadians deserve a government that protects them, not one that pretends everything is fine while families suffer behind closed doors. If we don't speak up now, this becomes permanent. If we stay silent, corporations will push further, regulations will weaken, and expired food will just be the beginning. This is why your voice matters. Your frustration matters, your story matters. So before you leave, ask yourself, is this the Canada you grew up in? Is this the future we want for our children? A country where healthy food becomes a luxury and expired food becomes the new normal? If the answer is no, then share this video, talk about it, spread the truth, and help push back against a system failing millions. Thank you for watching Canadian Rant. Subscribe for more honest, unfiltered content because someone has to tell the truth, and together we will.